Okay, this is the second part of episode 102. We have upgraded to Pro. Thanks, Zoom. Okay, we're done advertising for Zoom now. So we were talking about before.
Zoom. We've been doing this on Zoom the entire time. I remember using Zoom to zoom into some Zoom-tastic zoomings.
I hate everything. I hate everything.
Well, here's a quick little fun story for you.
Okay.
Zoom-tastic, go on.
There was a dude in China who came home and found 1,000 kilograms or 2,204.6 pounds of onions at his front door. The reason is because he broke up with his girlfriend.
And she wanted him to cry?
His girlfriend wanted to, I just wanted to quote this to make sure I get it right, wanted to make him cry as much as she did. They were together for over a year, and she cried for 3 days, then learned that he wasn't upset at all. Gasp. So he claims that he broke up with her because of her
onion habit,
over-the-top behavior.
She puts too many onions in the sauce. This is the problem. She bought a ton of onions. 1 ton of onions. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love onions. I would find a way to incorporate that into every meal. They're healthy. And
make a good stew.
You can make a good stew.
They do make a good stew.
Make yourself a nice salsa.
You want a quick little heartwarming story before we get into the sadness?
You know, Dustin, I do. Yeah. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A young girl, a 10-year-old by the name of Chelsea Fair, out of Danbury, Connecticut, she started up a charity last August on her birthday, and she asked for people to donate art supplies instead of birthday gifts. And she started putting together little art supply kit packages that she would send out to needy kids, and they would, meet them in person. Ever since they started with the stay-at-home orders, she has sent out 1,500 sent them out to 1,500 different kids in homeless shelters and foster care.
You got that?
I don't, man. I'm struggling real bad. I need more booze, apparently.
What were you saying? One more time. Repeat that part one more time.
So, since the stay-at-home order, and they can't go out and meet people in person like they used to, they have sent out to 1,500 different kids in homeless shelters and foster care homes, just all of these different art kits consisting of markers, crayons, different papers, coloring books, colored pencils, gel pens, just all sorts of different things to help people get along. So if you want, I can put her Amazon wish list onto our Facebook page at Thanks for Nothing if anybody feels like they just feel like they want to donate to some nice little cause.
Guys, does that exist still?
Yeah.
Oh, good. I knew that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, just be sure to check out Thanks for Nothing. That's THXFORNOTHING Facebook page. And upload our wish list. That'd be a really good donation thing. You know what? It's stories like that, actually. That's a nice lampshade, actually. That's nice.
Lampshade.
That's nice. Now, it's stories like that make you realize that, not the whole world just isn't garbage. There's actually, I think, good always triumphs evil. Just like there's not all this bitterness in the world. We see it every day online and social media, but stuff like that makes you go, hey, it feels good to help other people. So yeah, Dustin, I'm very happy you told me that story. I feel a lot better now. I know this sounds completely sarcastic, what's coming out of my mouth, but I'm dead serious. I was very happy.
I believe you, and I believe it. That is a sweet, sweet thing that she's doing.
And what was the name one more time for the wish list?
Her name?
Yes,
Chelsea Fair. It's
Chelsea Fair.
Phaire.
Beautiful, Chelsea.
It's stuff like that where you hear, when we're sitting here thinking like, I'm not bad. I want to do good for the world. I want to do good things. There's just nothing I can do. And then like a fucking 5-year-old comes along orchestrate something magnificent.
And just really shows me up.
I made noodles for the hungry children, and you're like,
it's something like that. Or like a 7-year-old whose grandmother taught her how to knitted like 17,000 sweaters.
Or face masks or whatever the hell.
Yeah, and you're just like, I'm actually, the moral of the story is I'm worthless, and Thanos snap, you're not missing much if I'm going, so it's okay.
Now there needs to be more of that in the world. I know it's all over the place. Everybody says it's everywhere. It needs to triumph over the garbage spew on one another. Actually, speaking of garbage, before we get into sports, now I want to turn it back to anger because that's basically my lifeblood. Apparently, there was a video released of the victim in Georgia.
Ahmaud Arbery.
That he apparently was like in was it a construction house? I believe. Right, exactly. But
every single argument that they tried to bring up to justify this is completely
null and void.
The most recent thing. Well, so
I just wanted to trump your.
We just had to really bring it back down. That's fine.
Bring it right back.
You'll never guess what I saw today. Apparently, get this. 3 years ago, Ahmaud Arbery was arrested for shoplifting at Walmart.
So
he deserved to die.
That means
he wasn't fully innocent.
That means 18-year-old Mason should have been shot fucking dead.
What'd you steal? Pizza?
Probably condoms. I don't know.
Condoms, yeah. Because we're always so embarrassed because we always get the smallest ones because that's the only ones that fit us, and we never buy those.
I was embarrassed because I had to get the biggest ones.
Oh, of course.
And everyone looks and
they laugh at you.
Hey, what's your name? And I'm like, I have a girlfriend, so I just want to avoid all that.
Oh, of course.
No, but yeah, the video that was released actually by TMZ, he was he was tased, but the taser malfunctioned. Did y'all see that?
No.
Yeah,
so he was tased by the two people first.
No, I saw it initially yesterday at work on TMZ, and there's the full video on Facebook, a page I follow, Now Politics, I think it's called. But he was in a park, like his car was parked somewhere, isolated, and this cop comes out, and make no mistake, I say this knowing full well that I would have reacted the same way because I have reacted the same way when confronted with an asshole cop. But he's sitting there, and the cops, he's like, what are you doing out here? And this is like, I think last year or the year before, I can't remember, but he's like, I'm out here, I'm not doing anything, like, back the fuck off. And the cop's like, no, you need to back the fuck off, like, calm down. And he's getting mad that the cop's confronting him, and the cop's getting mad that he's getting aggressive. But at the same time, again,
then it becomes personal.
I've been fucking angry at a cop being shitty towards me for no reason, and he keeps, the cop's like trying to go to his car, and the cop's like, I'm not trying to search your car, and he's saying, don't you fucking dare go near my car, like, back off. And he's not wearing a shirt, but he has a coat on. Actually looks like Big Shaq. But he keeps, he'll like reach down, the cops like, don't reach for your pockets. He's like, I'm not, and he'll put his hands up. And so it keeps going on like that. And they're going back and forth, and he's not being polite about it. And again, I cannot stress enough, imagine just sitting there minding your own business, and a cop comes up accusing you of criminal activity, and how was he when he was shot?
24.
Okay, so
mid-20s. I believe he was mid-20s.
If he was
20, I'm not 100% on that, don't quote me.
I can't remember either, but if he was 23, 24 when this particular video is happening, again, as a fucking pasty white male, I remember being that age and being untouchable, and so he's reacting that same way, telling the cop to, you need to back the fuck off. I'm out here minding my own business. You have no right to to do this to me. Anyway, that cop calls up a backup officer, and he goes, he's like, you need to get on your knees, like get down, and then he goes to tase him, but the taser malfunctions. So you hear the taser go off, but he's just kind of sitting there, just like, nothing happens. But it was just another thing that they're, that kind of corroborates that he was at that moment not doing anything, and still the police had to escalate to tasing.
Right.
Highly unnecessary, but also, I feel like on the other side, you could use that as like Dustin, what you were saying, like, look at this particular instance. This is why he deserved to have his fucking life ended. This is why he deserved to be shot, because this transgression in the past that has nothing to do with anything.
See,
he's a criminal.
Proves it.
Yeah. I actually went on. What's interesting is Ben Shapiro stuff gets shared a lot on my page.
Because he's a patriot.
You have a lot of friends that are big fans of Ben Shapiro, whatever.
Can I just say he's the dumbest fucking intellect.
So whenever I went on his page, and we're not keeping this political, we got more stuff that we actually have to talk about. But whenever I went on his page, I saw when it came to this Ahmaud Arbery individual, he stayed pretty neutral. He just kind of said, "Hey, here's an update." With it, like, didn't state an opinion, didn't do anything, which I was like, "That's smart. That's smart, Ben. Don't you start getting stupid now and saying
something for long."
Yeah. So, but then you go in the comments section, and that's where the fun begins. All of his fans and what they have to say about it, and how these two men are going to be unjustly thrown in jail because social media police are going to get them before the actual court of law. They're never going to have a fair trial. They're never going to have this. And I was like, wow. And I want Ben to like look at that and go, man, am I speaking the truth? Am I speaking the righteous thing? Like, I don't think I am, because the people who follow me and support me automatically believe that when a victim is shot and they go, it's not a race thing, it's always a race thing. Well, yeah, in this instance, it was a race thing. It was like flat out, hands down, no issues whatsoever. This was a race thing.
Even if this wasn't a lynching, as they call it, because whenever they called it a lynching, I know how I've been, following this shit since Trayvon Martin, and I know there's more to it than meets the eye. Obviously, not that justifies a murder,
right?
But whenever you see it, I always thought it was more than just like two white guys saying a black guy saying let's shoot him. Not to say it's unjust, but what it ultimately seems like is that what people fail to kind of take into context is these people having a prior history with him. They're not looking for justice. They're looking for like, oh, let me just find one thing wrong you do. Let me just find one thing wrong,
and I'll resolve it myself.
Yeah, give me a reason. And to them, and it's like, I'll bring up a conversation I've had multiple times with a good friend of mine, who's also a regular at the restaurant I work at, that talks about the border wall and how people are like, they're committing a crime, shoot them. It's like, that's a fucking misdemeanor. You're talking about a misdemeanor. You want to shoot someone over a misdemeanor. Have you ever jaywalked? Have you ever done anything slight that is technically criminal, and you want them to be fucking killed over? And so we go back to this, and you're just looking for one little reason to kill a human being, and that reason is, if I pull a shotgun on you and you try and attack me to take the shotgun away, or what we know that has happened in that instance.
Which, yeah, and apparently it is a law that they can protect.
Yeah,
they can protect themselves, and that's a dumb law, because that can be fully taken advantage of by citizens.
Yes, and so if I'm fighting for my protection, you don't know who I am, I don't know who you are, and I pull a shotgun out for my protection, and you're fighting for your protection because you're not really committing a crime, even if you were, well, in that instance, when he was attacked, there was nothing going on. He was in a house earlier. No one who cares? That's not an offense that deserves death, is it?
No, not at all.
So if you pull a gun on me and then I'm like, holy shit, this guy's pulling a gun, and I go to attack you and let's say I
Defend
can't
yourself. Yeah.
and then it's like, oh well, he attacked me because I had a gun, so I shot him. Like, oh well, that was self-defense, and it's just like, what world do you fucking live in, to where the one holding the gun is the one acting in self-defense against the one attacking because you pulled the gun?
I just love. Well, the thing is too is that it's almost like it's like that Netflix show, Trial by Media, right? I mean, like it's something that happens, and I felt like Georgia tried to keep this a little more hush hush and away from the media because of what had happened. Because this happened back in February.
Because Georgia, we have a reputation.
so then
Maha.
Oh Lord. So it takes 2.5 months, and then suddenly it blows up. People are like, whoa, like this. They went home like there was nothing, and immediately they were indicted on charges, of course. Because
no. They didn't get any charges until that video surfaced from their friend that was filming them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
As soon as that got released, then they get indicted.
Yeah, and because you see everything in that. The guy's defending himself, of course. What, between two other dudes? Like, oh, come on. And I'm like, you know what? Then it does become a racing. But it became a racing because those two dudes were still walking the street after such a heinous crime. So I don't know. Neither here nor there. I want to move on, okay? Because, I'm drinking, and so I'm only going to get sadder as this goes along. We talk about stuff like this, the end of the world. I want to talk about something even sadder than that. Now, I just really like to bring the depression out of people. No, the economy, we can wait until the next episode to discuss that. I want to talk about sports in general. You got Los Angeles saying that they don't want to open up any major entertainment until 2021. That's concerts, that's sporting events, whatever. They're wanting to wait until 2021. MLB, there hasn't been an update yet on when they're going to go ahead and start playing the season, which is obviously going to be a very short season. You also have the NBA, which I really wanted them to do this, and I'm very disappointed. What's the CEO? David Stern, right?
No, that Adam Silver.
Yeah,
Daniel Stern. No, Daniel Stern was in Celtic Pride. That's what it was.
Daniel Stern was also in Home Alone. Home Alone 2. The fact that you know him from Celtic Pride is weird.
Yes.
It's right.
And Dan Aykroyd.
It's fucking normal. It's a problem.
Like Tuck Everlasting. You hate the fact of all the immortal stuff. I say Tuck Everlasting. Like there's so many other immortal movies out there, and you say Tuck Everlasting. I know.
Yeah, and that was who's
I don't even remember. I don't even remember. It's a terrible movie.
Devin Sawa.
Is that his name? Was that
Devin
him? Sawa? Was it Devin Sawa?
Something like that. It's Devin something.
Oh, God. I think it was Sawa then. Yeah. Final Destination guy?
Or Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
So, Adam Silver, there was a proposition that was put out there, and I was really interested in this, to have a 1-game playoff. You take your top 8, and you do a throwdown. And it was actually considered. It was considered for a little bit. It really was. And I was like, that would be cool. It'd be a very interesting sporting event for a title. You have a 1-game playoff leading up to the finals. You just take it where they are right now. You get your top 8 teams in both conferences. Just go. And now they're considering a 3-game playoff.
So we're going right back to 2000 and before, when the Mavericks were barely breaking it. And they could have won a 7-game series, but they never could because it's a 5-game series against the Utah Jazz or Spurs, and they got knocked out instantly. Yeah, no, I don't like it.
Well, they got to end the season. They got to end the season.
Eventually, sure. But they still – how many teams were on the cusp of making that top 8? I mean –
right, but I mean, things happen, so they got to end the season because the goal that they want, and this is what Adam Silver said, he wants this over. He wants the season over by August, because October it starts up again, right?
That's doable. That's doable, especially if they start following the guidelines that Fauci put forward and just said, all right, just if you want to have a little bubble going, You just have to constantly test all your players and your staff, and then anyone that works at any of the facilities. No fans can be present, and you just, if you want to finish out the season that way, fine. They had probably I don't know, 10, 15 games left.
No, I think it was a little more than that.
Maybe.
I mean, listen, I'll pull up.
It was roughly the same with hockey. There weren't a whole lot in the way of games left. I mean, hockey probably had like a month total left.
How are they going to end that?
But okay, this is my thing. Like you have, and this actually goes into the politics of our American economics about, how the rich benefit or suffered disproportionately from the poor or the middle class. So, or small businesses and big businesses. So, the NBA and the sports in general, like NFL, MLB, whatever, NHL and NBA. So they want to return ASAP in the season. Like, okay, first off, how much money do you have? Second off, do you really think people are going to, after a pandemic, lose interest in this? Do you think they're going to say, oh, no, you know what, we lost it with the NHL, like I'm or the NBA, I'm not going back to it. Like, just
people are dying for new sports right now.
Cut the season over. All right, it's done.
Yeah,
like,
I agree with that 100%.
Doesn't matter. There's no championship. Act like it's a lockout season, which they had no trouble doing. They had no trouble canceling all of that because they couldn't have a fucking collective bargaining agreement that the owners and the players can agree to something that benefited one or the other, even though, the owners obviously were going to be A-okay. And this goes the same way with the big businesses and even the sports seasons in general. You're going to be fine. The MLB, the NBA, the NHL, the NFL, you are entities that have money that has never been seen before in all of time. And the same with those big businesses. You're going to be A-okay. You're going to be just fine. You don't want to take a hit if you don't have to, of course. But if you, it comes down to the priorities. Like if it's a lockout, you're perfectly fine. Like, oh, we'll take the hit because we don't want to give them this, or we don't want to concede to this or that. But now a pandemic's happening. Like, oh, we actually probably had a lockout planned out in a couple years, so we need to get this money now before we take the hit then.
So you think they should just count their losses, no championship, no nothing, and the season?
Absolutely. That's the smart play right there.
I just think for viewership, actually, if you want to talk about revenue, you want to talk about the rich. If you do like a special showdown for playoffs or whatever during this time, no fans, no nothing, you're probably going to generate a lot of revenue because one, it's unique. It's very unique if they actually do a playoff method that way. And so also what you're saying, though, is that the MLB, you don't even think they're going to do a season this year then?
Oh, no, I think that they will.
I mean, we're going into June. They'll have 3 months.
Yeah.
And they're not even going to start in June.
I know.
It'll probably be July or August. So now you're down to 2 months. Now you're down to, and they might push back, as well, just like the NBA is trying to do, like, okay, so instead of it ending early June, it may end early August or mid-August, whatever, if they do a 3-game playoff. I did look up. So they did have 15 to 20 games left on the season, the NBA. I think it showed like the Lakers were at, let me see, they're 63 games. So they had 19 games left to play. The Mavericks were at 67 games. So they have 15 games left to play themselves. So
what is the point? This is going to be, no matter who wins the championship, no matter who wins the MVP, playoff MVP.
Just a special season. I don't know.
There's always going to be an asterisk, though. There's always going to be an asterisk. Regardless of whether or not they play a shortened playoff series, regardless of whether or not they just call it a lockout or a strike shortened or whatever, there's always going to be an asterisk next to this season.
But it's always, isn't that what professional sports is for? It's for like pure entertainment. It's almost like NASCAR. NASCAR broke that record, was it about a month ago, with doing their online streaming of a NASCAR race, video game. And Kyle Larson.
Don't say the word. Don't say the word.
And Kyle Larson,
That's all he had to do.
I felt like Kyle Larson thought he was 14 again, and he's racing. He's doing it was like a 4-person race or whatever, and they're doing like a full circuit, and he thought he wasn't in contact with his pit crew anymore, and so just playing Xbox Live style, he goes, "Hey, can you hear me? Hey, N-word." And that was broadcast live over NBC Sports. And that's the most hilarious thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Because
you had to not say one word.
That you had to not say one word. And you did it. You did it. And that, to me, is
absolutely. You wanted to say it because you're a fucking piece of shit.
No, I don't even think it's because he's a racist piece of shit. I don't. What I believe is he was playing a game. And I'll never forget being 15 years old, and you're calling everybody the worst name in the book. Now, mind you, yes, he's 27. Should you be more mature than that? Abso-fucking-lutely. I think he got lost back 10 years ago playing a game and then didn't think for a fucking second, hey, man, you're being broadcasted, everywhere. And he immediately took it back. He immediately apologized. But it's like, no, bro, your career is done. But I think I've watched that video 3 or 4 times, and every time he says it, it's so nonchalant. And I was like, why? Why did you do that? Why did you say that, man? Like
you didn't. You could have said fucker.
Fucker. You could have done that and then been like, whoa, don't. You had to go for the hard R and just take it all, didn't you? You just had to go.
To say it. He wanted it. He felt it
deep within his loins. Deep down in his plums.
Yeah. He wanted to do it.
He had to get it out.
So, no, I'm actually really curious. The biggest thing that I'm worried about, and I think this will ruin America, is that the NFL season doesn't start on time. What do you guys think?
That's what those stupid fat fuckers in Michigan should be protesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. The president very much wants football to start on time.
I want that. Actually, I already said that if the NFL doesn't start on time, I believe this is all a hoax. It's a lie to where they don't want the NFL to play anymore because of Colin Kaepernick. Yep. It's because of Colin Kaepernick. I actually blame the coronavirus on Colin Kaepernick.
That's as smart as any other conspiracy theory I've heard. So,
but just think about it.
More logical than 5G.
I blame Bill Gates, Colin Kaepernick, and those protesters in Michigan. I just hate them all. If the NFL does not start on time, I might actually be quite emotional. That's my obsession with the NFL.
Me and Dustin are going to be like, is that an AR-15? On our next podcast, you're going to be wearing it with your camouflage hat, your camouflage MAGA hat.
You got to stand up. We all have to rise up together.
You can't kneel. Cannot kneel. Cannot take a knee for patriotism.
Don't even say that word.
So y'all's prediction for the seasons that are currently in progress with the NBA and the NHL, you think that they're probably just going to cut their losses?
Honestly, I don't know, man. I think that's the smart choice. Is just all right. This season is done. There's no champion. Sorry, everybody. And that's the problem you're going to run into there is there's a lot of player contracts that have a lot of different riders in there about for certain performance goals, especially in this season, or not just this season, but every season. So if they didn't finish the season, there's no champion. So what if this dude who has clauses in his contract that he gets a bonus if they win the cup or if they make the playoffs or what have you?
And he disputes the contract.
Yeah, I mean,
he can.
There's tons of little instances like that are all through it. There's a ripple that'll trickle down through all of both basketball and hockey and baseball and football. Then not only that, you have to wonder, does this what the NHL and what the NBA have already done, does that count as a full season as far as your free agency eligibility goes?
Then they have to finish. They have to finish the season.
That's what I do. I just don't know. They have to. But how?
How do the rules apply in a season where there's a lockout of sorts?
I'd have to look that up.
Well, I mean, what was it? What was the MLB lockout? Was that 1992?
I think that was the last
94, right?
one.
Yeah, I'm pulling that up
Or
actually.
no, hockey was 94.
Well, hockey, I thought the most recent lockout was back around 04 or 05.
I think you were right. It was
Yeah.
1994 was the MLB lockout. The NHL lockout was
NHL had a couple in the last couple of years, the last couple of decades.
the lockout was from 1994 to 1995 for the NHL.
Yeah.
So you had a lot of you had a lot of CBA issues basically.
Gretzky only scored 47 points in I think 40 games.
Oh, was that his?
So it was a huge
Shame.
loss.
Man, where would his numbers be if he'd finished that season out?
It doesn't.
Whoa.
Josh Hamilton was supposed to get 400 RBIs in 2011, right?
That was just one game, though.
Josh Hamilton was going to get 400 RBIs in a game.
Right.
Yeah, dude, monster.
God level.
We did the show for that.
And that's the second inning.
He's going to jail. You know that, right?
Yeah, he kind of beat his little girl.
Yeah. That what a shame.
Yeah.
What a shame. Now,
Anyway,
no, the point I'm trying to make is if it does come down to that, a lot of advertising revenue is built during the playoffs of each major sporting event.
Absolutely.
And I think they know that, and they're like, if we avoid that, we're missing out on a ton of commercial revenue, advertising revenue, whatever, if we do not continue. That's why I thought if you were just, because it is all for entertainment purposes only, if you were only going to have a one-game playoff in the NBA, it'd be quick, but you're gaining some sort of commercial revenue out of it, and you end the season. Will it always have an asterisk next to it? Yes, it will, just like how that MLB season in 1994 had. I mean, like, there'll always be an asterisk. It wasn't a full season. It was 30 games short. I mean, that's just not even 30. It was way more than that, actually. It was like 80 games short.
That's half the season.
Half the season. So now if you're 20 games short of a complete season and you do a 3-game playoff or a three-game best of 3 playoff match or a 1-game playoff match, get your revenue out of it. You've already defined your top 8. I mean, like, just between 7th and 8th, in the Western Conference, that's a 10-game split, I think, between Memphis and Dallas right now.
Okay. So in order to do that safely and with the players unions on board with all of it, the safety standards would have to come up so high, and they would have to do so much testing, not just with players, but with employees of stadium as well. And front office dudes, anyone that has to come in contact with anybody will have to constantly be tested. That's going to cost a ton of money. Let's also think about, just take basketball, for example. A lot of the dudes that play for the NBA haven't been able to practice or work out really all that much here in this time off.
Now you're risking injury. Injury.
What's the Giannis? Who's the reigning MVP
from Milwaukee? Yeah,
Giannis. Yeah, he didn't even have access to a hoop right now, he said. So how's he supposed to practice and stay in shape? And then now, let's say Milwaukee is going to be part of that 8-game playoff or that 1 or 3-game playoff. How does he jump back in without having been hitting it hard over the last 2.5 months?
Fair.
I mean, there's a lot that goes into this, man.
It's a double-edged sword. It is. Just count your losses, end it, or try to gain as much revenue, but then risk the players. But if you count your losses and end it, now you have contract disputes. But is that going to be less lethal than actually just ending the season? It might be. It might be.
I don't know, man.
This is actually a bigger, more ultimate problem that in the midst of a massive fucking pandemic, they're taking into consideration professional sports over the well-being of our
entertainment. It matters.
Imagine, that give 1918 one benefit, like people actually listen to the government, and we didn't have this sports hero worship that we had now. Like, the Spanish flu's happening. Yeah. But what about Honus Wagner and his batting average?
So dumb. That doesn't fucking matter right now.
What?
But it does.
How do we document Ty Cobb's batting if we just cancel the MLB season?
That's what we're talking about.
Will Cy Young get as many wins as he should get if we cancel because of the Spanish flu?
I know you're upset about this, but the thing is that we're talking about just pure entertainment, of course. And honestly, for the revenue that they're losing right now, they're discussing these things because they're trying to salvage whatever they can before they end the season. And I think as big sports fans, as us three are, how do they do that? Do they cut their losses or do they finish? I think that's interesting. I think that's an interesting conversation.
Let's see.
Ever since Mason turned into a father, he's always just logical about stuff right now. He's like, I love how we're worried about sports heroes when people are fucking dying.
I'll tell you what.
What was it, King of the Hill, when the cop pulls over Hank, and so then the cop walks up to Hank's car and he's like, "Hey, Hank, thank you for telling me my taillight is out." He's like, "Oh, just doing my job." Well, you know what? Actually, I think we've run out of time here.
Oh,
yeah. I think we're going to be back on next week. This has been the 102nd episode of Thanks for Nothing. It's me, Mike. Now to the left of me is Dustin, and right below is Mason. And we'll be back on next week with more fun and exciting stuff for you guys. Be sure to check us out on YouTube. Go to the Thanks for Nothing page and follow us on Facebook. Oh, what? What did you do?
Thanks for nothing.
It's not real. My tongue's here, guys.
Oh, so scared.
It was tomfoolery.